Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, where everything you're about to hear and see has been done in one take. I'm your host, the One Take Man. About 30 years ago, as of the time of this video's release, on October 28th, 1994, the movie Stargate premiered. Directed and co-written by Roland Emmerich, with the other co-writer, Dean Devlin, serving as one of its producers. This movie now stands as a strange entity within entertainment and cinematic history, given that in spite of or despite its mediocre reception, it went on to inspire a long-running TV franchise with various tie-ins within other media as well, and also kickstarted the career, or place in the overdrive, the or accelerated the career of one of the most well-known disaster movie directors of modern Hollywood. And I personally have to say that even though I wasn't particularly even though I've been interested in the TV franchise for about half my life, even have a few videos on the topic on this channel. I only actually sat down to watch this movie this week, as of the time of this video's production, because up until now I really had no no major reason or incentive to do so. Anyway, now that I've done so, what can I say about this movie? What is it? What is it about it that makes it distinctive? Well, the TLDW for this review is this movie is fine. Uh, Even though it touches upon a high concept, it really only utilizes that concept in order to serve as a vessel for the adventure story that the screenwriters are actually interested in telling. Nevertheless, that adventure story in and of itself is still put together quite competently, and does present itself in an interesting way, and in various quite interesting directions that are that are bound to keep you or other viewers, or viewers in general, entertained, even if it isn't particularly memorable. So if you're on the lookout for some campy fun and don't mind a tinge of darkness, then it is likely that you will enjoy this movie. And now that I'm done talking about general aspects, it's time I delved into some specifics. The plot of this movie starts off in 1928 in Egypt, when an archaeological expedition uncovers a large, strange circular device that has been painstakingly sealed away and buried. It then stood in storage for 66 years, up until crackpot archaeologist Dr. Daniel Jackson, played by James Spader, is able to figure out, what exactly that device is supposed to do and how it works. Once he is able to do that, Colonel Jack O'Neill, played by Kurt Russell, is brought in to lead an expedition to to the point where the gate the point where the gate leads. Once they get on the other side, O'Neill and the rest of his expedition, which Jackson has joined, finds something a little bit more complicated than they might have initially expected. I have to say, putting aside my my particular gripes with the premise, or particularly with or with certain details about it, the plotting of this movie is still somewhat of a mess, given it kind of morphs from an exploration or research story about the results or effectiveness of human ingenuity into a first contact story before closing out with an action plot about staging an uprising. Each of these plots, in and of itself, would make for an would perhaps make for an interesting movie. However, because they are all mashed together within this one production, it is really only the highlights of each story that get to really shine. And while the screenwriters are still capable of weaving a plausible narrative that that goes through all of these high points, there are still lots of details outside of that, outside of this strict plot line that they intended to explore, that end up being that end up remaining underdeveloped. The plot goes a little too fast to to really dive into a whole bunch of characters and allow the audience to figure out what their what their motivations, what their interests would be. And also a lot of world building simply gets passed over because the screenwriters wanted to reach a very particular point with their narrative. It is almost no surprise that when considering that a TV series ended up getting spun off from this movie. But it is somewhat ironic that TV franchise ended up retconning a lot of things about it about the movie. Once you actually stop to consider it. Nevertheless, when you actually look at the world building aspects that are directly relevant to the to the movie and to the way the narrative unfolds, they are actually, I have to say, those actually work quite well. They are I think they are sufficiently well developed to those actually work quite well. They are sufficiently well developed to allow the audience to figure out what's going on and what the meaning behind a lot of various elements and actions is actually supposed to be. So and that really helps, and that ultimately really helps with the investment that the audience brings, not just within the movie itself, but also with its also investing in its characters. Of the characters, I have to say that when it comes to the leads, I think O'Neill definitely has the lion's share of characterization. Given that throughout the events of the movie, he is able to overcome his recent traumatic past and find something new that is worth fighting and hoping for again. It's typical action movie guy stuff, but it is nevertheless well executed. Of the secondary characters, I think it is safe to say that Shaori and Skara fare the best as they learn the history of their people, and then then make the decision to take an active role in shaping their future, not just their personal futures, but also the futures of their people from from that point forward. So in that sense, there is plenty of passion that goes into that went into certain aspects of this movie, and that passion is also mirrored in the various technical aspects. Because even though the movie has a rushed narrative, the production overall is quite well executed, and the technical presentation of everything is done very well. The audience always has a good idea of not just the milieu within which the events unfold, but also have a good understanding of the context within which these within which these developments occur. And I have to say that is for the most part and that is quite well done overall. When it comes to and that passion doesn't only come from the technical crew. It also comes from the it also comes from the acting performances. And in that front, I have to say that David Spader very much takes the cake, because he is able to because he is very capable of leveraging his own uh, uh, abilities, his own stage presence, and his quiet charisma, and is able to give Daniel Jackson a lot of a lot of presence and a lot of gravitas, making pretty much everything he says become a meaningful and weighty contribution to the to the development of the plot itself. And he does so still while still coming across as very naturalistic, as a as a believable passionate man of science. And in terms of the rest of the cast, I really have to give credit to Jay Davidson, who, despite having literally just minutes of screen time and having to having to act through gibberish that is passed off as a foreign language, as was the standard of the time, to be honest. He is nevertheless capable of giving the main villain of this movie the aura and sense of menace that really befits the threat level that he actually represents. So, good job overall on that front. Anyway, overall, this movie is overall, this movie represents a very an intriguing and entertaining uh, action adventure tale, which within which a lot of passion has flown, and which is bound to hold an audience's engagement and attention throughout its throughout its entire runtime. My final rating for Stargate, the 1994 movie, is a 3 out of 5. And that was my review. Thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed it, well then please like the video, maybe even share it wherever you think other people will also like the video. If there is anything you'd like to add, either to the movie itself or my review of it, that's what the comment section is for. And if you want to see when my next video gets released, well then please subscribe. And ideally also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you in order to keep you notified. I also have a main channel where I talk about book-related and literature topics, a link to which you can find in the description down below, right past my social media links, which I also suggest you check out should you choose to. If that doesn't interest you, then you can stay on this channel and go through my extensive backlog of miscellaneous content. It could be movie reviews, video game reviews, quick plays of various various video games, or pretty much anything I can think of. Alternatively, you can also support me on Patreon, where depending on the level at which you pledge, you'll receive various perks, the specifics of which I'll allow you to discover for yourselves. And yeah, that was pretty much all I had to say. So until next time, I have been the One Take Man. Thank you for your attention.